Hi there, good afternoon. You've tuned into ET now, and this is Market Fatafat with me, Cheryl D'Souza. Along with me, I have Vinny Motiwala. Very good afternoon to you, Vinny. And if you look at the markets today, we were holding on to good set of gains, at least till the last few minutes. But now, as you can see, the markets have given up most of those gains right now. We are actually inching lower. 0.4% uptick coming in for the Nifty. It is moved away from the 17,700 mark as well. Let's take a note and what Nifty Bank is doing, because Nifty Bank at one point in time was trading higher by approximately 1.2%, but with the rest of the markets, you can see Nifty Bank is in fact bucking the trend. It is holding on to those firm gains in excess of about 1%. PSU Bank Index was the one that was the top sectoral gainer in today's trading session, holding on to gains of about 1.7% as we speak. You have metal also that's seeing good momentum in trade today, 1.4% uptick coming in for metals, and FMCG also holding on to good set of gains of about 0.6%. But on the flip side, it is the IT sector that is getting hammered out of shape in today's trading session. If you look at the IT index, is down about 1.5%. Remember, actually, if you look at the fact being that TCS will be announcing its Q4 numbers tomorrow, and also officially kick-starting the earnings season for our Indian markets. Along with IT index, we also have pharma index that's seeing some mild weakness in trade today. But to take note of the market advance decline ratio, for now, it is very much in the favor of advances, Vinny. So for now, we are holding on to gains of about 0.4% for the benchmark indices, with Sensex actually seeing gains of approximately 200 points. It is above the 60,000 mark.
Okay, on that note, Cheryl, let's just get started with all the stocks that are buzzing in trade, moving in trade, either on the back of news flows or on the back of technicals as well. On the technical front, today we have Kunal Bothra joining you with us, while from the research team, today we have Vamakshi as well as Lisa joining you with us. A very good afternoon to all three of y'all. And let me start then with the first stock. We'll be talking about ABB. This one is on the back of a brokerage report that has come in from Kotak. They've actually downgraded ABB India to a reduce from a previous buy rating. Now, other than that, the target price of that they have given is 3,425 rupees per share. The downgrade actually is coming in because after the stock saw a sharp rally of around 20% on a year-to-date basis. Kotak is of the view that the annual report falls short of justifying the sustainability of the sharp improvement in margins and the working capital for the year gone by as well. Other than that, what they're also highlighting is that the 200 basis point YOY gross margin expansion and low 10 days of working capital yielding 37% ROIC in 2022 may be hard to sustain and grow going forward as well. So these are the factors that they're keeping into play. Also, they're factoring in an 18% CAGR growth in order inflows over 22 to 25. On the back of this, Kotak has actually downgraded ABB, and we're seeing the stock is down at 3.52% in the trade.
All right, so that is ABB for you. That's declining in trade today. On the flip side, you had Kotak Mahindra Bank that was actually seeing good gains in today's trading session. At one point in time, the stock gained as much as 5.7%. That was the most or the biggest intraday gain coming in for Kotak Mahindra Bank in about 18 months. The company, the bank rather, that is actually gaining in trade today because you have Nuvama Alternative, and also as well as Nuvama actually has come out with a report where they are saying that they see potential hike in Kotak Mahindra Bank's weightage by the MSCI in the May review. And as per their analysis, they're saying foreign holding in Kotak Mahindra Bank has dropped to 41.22% in the March quarter, which is about 1.4% or 1.5% decline on a quarter-on-quarter basis. And this could result in foreign headroom moving to about 25.05% from 22.38% currently. They're also saying that Kotak Mahindra Bank could see MSCI weight up led inflow to the tune of about $690 million. So on back of this positive report coming in from Nuvama on the fact that Kotak Mahindra Bank may get higher weightage in MSCI in the May review, you can see the stock is holding on to gains of approximately 5%.
Let's move on and talk about a pharma name. And Kunal, you've picked out Dr. Reddy's for us from the pharma space. How should one be viewing the charts for this one? In the last couple of weeks at least, we are seeing a good run-up coming in. Is that an indication of any more positive signs for this one?
Well, it seems, in fact, Vinny, that the stock is actually trying to get into a top-out zone over here. So, last 7 days, the stock has rallied up quite well from 4,500. Today's high, the stock hit a level of 4,800 mark. but then it's retraced from the intraday highs. And in fact, most of the indicators were already indicating overbought territories for Dr. Reddy since the last, one or two trading sessions. Today, in fact, the stock has formed a bearish engulfing pattern. It's a candlestick pattern which indicates that the stock may see a near-term resistance, or there's a supply which has emerged to the stock price. So my sense is that this 4,800 mark approximately, which is near to today's high, that should act as a major resistance for the stock over the near term, and we can expect the stock to scale down a bit more from current levels. 4,600, 4,650 could be an immediate target for anyone who's looking out to buy Dr. Reddy on the downside.
All right, that's Dr. Reddy's for you, but let's stick with the pharma space. And Lisa, Shilpa Medicare, why is this one a buzz?
Yes, it has hit the rooftop today as it has soared like around 14%, and the stock is currently trading at its intraday high at around 265. The reason for this is that it has received US FDA final approval to its psoriatic arthritis drug, which is Apremilast tablets, and the US market for this is around 3.55 billion as per the IQIA data. Well, the trading volume is stands at around 11 times the 20-day average, and it may be noted that the stock it has hit a high of 265 today, which is a significant gain from 222 level, which is the 52-week high that the stock saw just few days back on March 29. Well, the stock in the last 1 year, it has fallen around 45% in trade. So, well, on the back of the US FDA approval, the stock is very much in focus today.
Okay, soaring in trade, that's Shilpa Medicare for y'all. But another stock that is locked in upper circuit actually, and Mamakshi, that is Shipping Corporation of India. I believe there's some news flow that came in today as well. What is it? Why is it buzzing in trade?
Well, Vinny, you're absolutely right. This stock is gaining momentum in the trading session today. We're seeing that there is a news article that came in Economic Times, and Shipping Corporation of India is in focus on the back of that. Now, source-based information citing Citi, the government has plans to invite financial bids for privatization of Shipping Corporation of India in the next month, that is in the month of May. PM Modi had in 2019 announced plans to privatize a number of state-run companies, and that includes Shipping Corporation of India, but it was stalled due to regulatory delays. Now, SCI had to spin off its non-core assets before the government could sell its nearly 64% stake in the company, and that actually hit a roadblock over the amount of funds to be transferred to the demerged entity. SCI has now completed the spin-off last month itself after getting regulatory approval late in February 2023. Now, this demerged entity will have to be listed before April 23, and the government plans to do that soon as well. Now, a final decision will be taken on April 14 by a panel headed by India's Cabinet Secretary. So that is the news flow surrounding Shipping Corporation of India, and that is the reason why the stock is locked in upper circuit today.
All right, let's move on and let's talk about Tata Motors then, Kunal. Your all-time favorite stock, does it remain like that?
Yeah, it still remains a favorite, Cheryl. Excellent charts for Tata Motors. In fact, over the last couple of days, the stock was trying to get into some kind of a breakout zone. Yesterday, there was some news flow. The stock managed to see a very strong breakout. 440 levels were taken out. The stock at one point had climbed up to, I think, 470, 475 odd levels. It's retraced back a bit from those levels, but then that's more of cooling off from the indicators, overbought indicators for the stock price. My sense is that possibly in the next 2-3 trading sessions, the stock should settle back into a lower end of the trading range. I think if it comes back to say 445, 450 mark, that could be a classic level to go contra, as well as look to buy Tata Motors back again. So maintain the bullish stance on the stock over the near to medium term, and 445 to 450 mark could be a good level. In case if the stock happens to come back to that zone, look to buy back.
Okay, keep an eye out on Tata Motors. Moving on, we have Container Corp that is in focus, and this is on the back of a brokerage note as well as some news flow that is coming from reports. Let's talk about the brokerage note first, where Axis Capital has actually upgraded the stock to a buy. What they see is a silver lining. You know, the stock has not been doing well. There's anything positive in terms of growth coming in. But now they see a silver lining coming in for Container Corporation of India. That is that the positives coming in from the discounted free cash flows, which is commissioning, are yet to actually start playing out for the company. They also see significant progress on completing Western DCF, and that is expected through this fiscal year as well. Plus, overall, a potent catalyst around the shift of management control is dormant and not dead, is what Access Capital is highlighting on Concord. And they believe that the best is yet to come for the company. They believe the EPS CAGR over FY23 to FY25 is around 18%. Valuations are quite attractive for Concord, and the stock is available at 2017 year-end levels. So keeping an eye out on that one. They've given a target price of 790 rupees per share, which is approximately around a 35-36% upside from current levels. And long term, the mean also looks quite attractive at 28.5 times. So yes, on the back of that, we're seeing that Concord is buzzing in trade. And other than that, the news flow that had come in for Shipping Corporation of India. Now, what we were seeing in terms of that as well, that in that news flow, it also mentioned that the government panel will actually be considering a proposal to invite initial bids for selling government's 31% stake in Container Corp of India, which had actually been delayed since 2020 as well. So, on the back of this news report also, let's keep an eye out on Concord.
All right, that is Concord for you. That is buzzing in trade along with Shipping Corporation of India. That one also was buzzing on the fact that there are reports on the privatization. But let's talk about Bandhan Bank. And Bandhan Bank this morning came out with a clarification on a media reports which alleged on the business procedures of the bank. And they've issued a clarification on that particular front. They've said that the media reports and allegations of business procedures followed by bank are completely false and baseless as well as misleading. They've also said that there is under no circumstances any difference between the sanctioned as well as disbursed amount for the microfinance loans. They've also said that no such process or mechanism where bank withholds any disbursed amount in saving bank or account of the applicant. So that's a clarification coming in from Bandhan Bank. Post the clarification, you saw the stock did see a good jump, but right now it's given up most of those gains, trading low of about 0.5%.
Okay, let's talk about real estate names. They were buzzing in trade yesterday, Cheryl, as well. Today also seems like somewhere of a green is coming in for these real estate names. And Kunal has picked up one stock from that, and that is DLF. Kunal, is this one of your top bets coming in the real estate space? We've seen a sharp run up in the last 1 month as well for the DLF, 16% uptick. How much more upside?
Well, I think today's price action indicates that the stock is gearing up for a much bigger upside than what we've seen over the last 2 or 3 trading sessions. Because after a steep rally in the last 2 days for the stock price from 360, 365 levels to 405, 410, which the stock hit today. And today's pause for the stock indicates that it's getting ready for a bigger up move over the near to medium term. Now, in this kind of a charts as well as these kind of scenarios, we look out for short-term dips in terms of the stock price to buy back the stock which may have exited at higher levels. So I think 395, 390, in case if the stock happens to come back to those levels, should be taken as a good classical opportunity to buy DLF. My sense is that the stock is now migrating from a daily breakout towards more of a monthly as well as a quarterly breakout, and that could augur exceptionally well for a stock like DLF. This could also augur very well for the entire real estate pack, which I believe is getting a bit more vibrant than what has been earlier. So DLF remains to be the top pick from the real estate pack as of now.
All right, that is DLF for you. But Lisa, Neogen Chemicals, this one is a buzz in today's trading session.
Well, yes, this is a story that ET now broke out just before the company officially confirmed that Neogen Chemical has signed the agreement with MU Ionic Solutions, a Japanese-based JV firm of Mitsubishi Chemicals, and this is to acquire confidential technology license to manufacture electrolytes. Well, they will be having a license to produce around 30,000 electrolytes, and the commercial production will begin in 2025. The management commented that this electrolytes will be sold in India, and the technology will be applicable, and it will support all types of chemistry. Well, the company recently also announced a 450 crore capex for electrolytes and salt, and they had it was a 10,000 tons capacity, and which the company would generate around 1,000 crore revenue by FY26. So post this new planning that the company has done of signing an agreement with MUIS, the company may revise its estimates for the capex as well as revenue guidance. So, well, considering this landmark positive step, the stock is in focus today. It's like, as you can see flashing on the screen, it's up 15%, and in the last 5 days, the stock has soared up around 25% in trade.
Okay, let's let's move on and talk about Aditya Birla Capital, AB Capital on the charts. Kunal, how is this one looking like? Is it the right time to enter this one now?
Well, it seems like the stock is nearing a short-term top for itself. Over the last 2 days, the indicators were extremely overbought for AB Capital, and in a market like this, you ideally would have expected that the stock would have gained momentum, but the fact that it's slowing down in terms of momentum, retracing, seeing some profit booking indicates that it may get into a bit of a cool-off. So even for AB Capital, the strategy would be very, very similar to what we discussed earlier for many of the other stocks, that to buy on dips, stock is trading at 158 levels. In case if it dips back towards 155, 150 mark, that could be a zone where traders may look to start buying. My expectation is that possibly in the next 1 or 2 months, we may expect AB Capital to come back into a very strong uptick mode. 175 could be a broader target for the stock with that kind of a time frame.
All right, moving on, Mamakshi, Star Health, why is this one in the spotlight today?
Well, Cheryl, this stock is in fact gaining in the trading session today, and here's why. Well, Star Health came out with its gross premium data, and we're seeing that the gross direct premium for the whole company has grown by nearly 13% on a year-on-year basis and now stands at nearly 12,950 crores. Now, the retail segment of the health insurance has seen the highest growth of 18% year-on-year, with gross direct premiums at 11,948 crores. But the group health insurance premiums, they've seen a very sharp decline of nearly 30% on a year-on-year basis, and they now have gone down from 1,165 odd crores to around 807 crores. But it is the personal accident segment that is also posting a healthy double-digit growth of nearly 15% as far as gross direct premiums are concerned. So overall, a good operational update, and that is the reason why Star Health is in focus today, up nearly 4.5% as we speak.
Okay, let's keep an eye on Star Health. The buzzing in trade today up almost 5%. Manappuram Finance is another stock that we're going to talk about on the back of a brokerage note. Now, Morgan Stanley has come out with a note where they believe that the sharp price will actually rise to the country's index, and there'll be a sharper rise over the next 45 days. Now, gold prices in India have rallied around 20% since the end of October, and also the average gold prices for Jan to March quarter rose around 9.5 times on a quarter-on-quarter basis, 9.5%, I beg your pardon, on a quarter-on-quarter basis. So now what Morgan Stanley believes is that this should actually have a positive impact on Manappuram Finance in Q4 FY23, especially in terms of the gold loan growth as well. And overall, the gold prices have supported over growing and going up faster is something that will support Manappuram Finance. They believe, Morgan Stanley also said that the non-gold book also continued to grow rapidly at a rapid pace, which is driving the overall consolidated loan growth for the book. And thus for the higher forecast in terms of loan growth, earnings growth, along with inexpensive valuations, that is at around 1.1 times the price to book and 6 times PE for FY24 is something that will drive the stock's outperformance. That's why Morgan Stanley is positive on Manappuram Finance.
All right, that is Manappuram Finance for you, and that is Morgan Stanley, who is pretty bullish on this particular counter. But Kunal, are you also bullish on Manappuram Finance? Do you think the stock price will see a sharp rise from here on? Is that what the charts are indicating to you?
It seems like, because I think Manappuram Finance is now getting into the second leg of an upward trend. So initially the stock moved from 110, I think 107, 110 to 120, 25 in a very slow and a gradual manner. There was a process of a pattern of higher highs and higher lows the stock had formed. But in the last 2-3 days, the moment the stock had broken past over the 125 mark, the pace of rally is intensified for Manappuram Finance. Now the stock is trading at a multi-week high, breaking past about the 130 levels intraday today. So I believe that on the back of a confirmation of a breakout price-wise, comeback of volumes, the recovery of price trends for Manappuram Finance, it augurs very well for the stock over the near term. And when we try and compare this with the likes of Muthoot Finance, Manappuram Finance, the charts have been a lot more stronger in the last 2 to 3 months of this price recovery. So that also plays a positive edge to the stock price over the near term. So would be bullish on Manappuram Finance from current levels as well. And in case if the stock dips back towards 125, that could be a good level to buy back again.
All right, positive view from Kunal as well coming in for Manappuram Finance. But let's talk about delivery, and this particular counter is in focus in today's trading session on back of a huge block deal that took place earlier in the day. you had a block deal of about 1.6% of equity that actually changed hands in 3 bunch deals. And post that particular development, you saw the stock rise as much as 3.6%, which is most since about March 31st. If you look at the amount of shares that changed hand, it was about 11.4 million shares that changed hand on the bourses. No doubt we are yet to get the details on the buyer and the seller in this particular block deal, but the stock is holding on to gains for a 3rd consecutive trading session.
Okay, let's move on and talk about IRB Infra. Lisa, I believe the toll collection numbers have come in. How are they looking like?
The toll collection for March month, and according to the filing, the toll collection for March, this is for the wholly owned subsidiaries and joint venture under its private InvIT, that jumped 20% on year-on-year basis, and it recorded a collection of around 370 crore. Well, on month-on-month basis also, the toll collection saw an uptick of around 5%. And even the entities under the company's trust that registered a 40% increase in toll collection at 193.8 crore. Well, the stock in early morning trade, it went up around 4%, and it also touched a high of around 26.9. But then in tandem with the market, it has cooled off, but it's still trading with a positive bias.
All right, Vamakshi, coming to you for Kalpataru Power, and this one I believe is buzzing on back of another order win.
Absolutely, Cheryl. This stock is in focus on the back of an order win. In fact, multiple orders that have come in for the counter. Well, they've announced that it's the company and its international subsidiaries have secured new orders worth nearly 3,079 crores in the month of March and till date in April 2023. Now, what the management is saying is that they've in fact received the second building and factory order in the international market, which is a big step forward for them. This is in line with their strategy to expand their civil business outside India. They're also highlighting that they've received some orders in the railway and water businesses, and these orders in the railway and water businesses have enhanced their order book, and in fact they've also improved their market position in these businesses. So overall, the order wins is the reason why Kalpataru Power is up in trade. As you can see, the stock is holding strongly in the green. It has not declined since morning, and in fact is holding on to the gains, up nearly 3.5% as we speak.
Okay, let's move on and talk about IEX on the charts. Kunal, how is this one looking like? What should we be expecting in terms of levels?
It's a classic V-shape pattern for IEX from 17th of March, when the stock was almost at 155 rupees. At one point, the stock had fallen very sharply, touched levels of 125, which is a sharp 15% correction, more than 15% correction for IEX from those levels. And then from 125, we are now talking back again, that the stock has come back towards 154, 155 mark, which means it's a classical V-shaped pattern which has been formed for the stock price. Now, these classical V-shaped patterns generally indicate that a major bottom is in place for stocks, and these kind of sharp corrections, they tend to have strong ramifications for the stock over the medium to long term. So I think traders who have been holding on to IEX from higher levels, positional investors who've been buying the stocks at levels of 200 plus, I think it's a good time for them to start averaging out. With this recent V-shaped recovery and the pattern the stock price has shown, my expectation is that possibly in the next 3 to 6 months, we can expect 170 to 175 as a target for IEX.
All right, let's move on and let's talk about Vedanta, and why this one is in focus is because we have reports and source-based reports coming in that Vedanta is in talks with US-based Farallon to raise about at least $1 billion. This is all as per sources, and this is from agencies. What the reports are suggesting that Vedanta is in talks with US-based Farallon Capital Management to raise at least $1 billion. This is as per sources. They're saying that the discussion are ongoing and the structure of the fundraising has not been finalized. Remember that this is a source-based agency's information that we have. ET now has not yet confirmed it with the management. They're saying that the proposed fundraising will lessen the need to raise money via syndicated loan. Remember that Vedanta is in initial talks with Barclays, JP Morgan, Standard Chartered, what the reports had suggested earlier as well. And today, this is the new development that we are picking up from agencies via sources. The Vedanta is in talks with US-based Farallon Capital to raise about $1 billion.
Okay, that is Vedanta. For all, keep an eye out. That was a source-based news that we have. But on that note, we're going to slip into a very short break. Viewers, don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more stocks after this break.
Welcome back. You're watching Market Fatafat right here on ET Now, a show where we get you all the stocks buzzing based on news flows as well as on technicals. And talking about technicals, now we have Osho Krishan joining us on the show. A very good afternoon to you, Osho. Let me come to you straight. You are tracking for us Bharti Airtel. How is the charts looking for Bharti Airtel, given the fact that the issue being with Bharti Airtel, the moment it hits 800, it's not able to sustain those levels. Do you think that once again it will try to surpass that and sustain those levels?
Good afternoon, everyone. Well, yes, no doubt Bharti Airtel. For Bharti Airtel, 800 is a very crucial levels. But what we are witnessing from past 1 week, that the counter has been gaining some buying interest from the levels of 200 day SMA on the daily chart. So this being the very crucial support zone for Bharti Airtel. So we can expect the decent up move in the short term for the target of 800, and once it breaches 800 or 805 zone, then from there onwards we can see the northward journey in Bharti Airtel. But as of now, for short term traders, the first target in Bharti Airtel that can one expect in a very short term time frame is 800 levels.
Okay, keep an eye out on that one for Bharti Airtel. Let's move on and talk about Steel Authority of India. This one is in focus on the back of a note that has come in from Investec. Now, Investec has actually cut its stance and rating to a sell from a previous hold rating. They've also cut the target price to 84 rupees from previous 90 rupees. What they're saying is that they see a risk coming in on the mining profits for sale, as well as volume growth is something a bit of a concern that they are watching out for. Overall, Investec highlights that the Indian metal and mining stocks have actually yielded negative returns over the last 3 to 12 months horizon when you look at it, but many the hopes of a rebound from China reopening or the sector as an inflationary hedge, this year near-term outlook is not very exciting coming in, and similar outlook that they've seen in the past. So yes, that is why they're not quite positive on Steel Authority of India to cut the rating to a sell.
All right, let's move on and let's talk about JSW Steel. And this one at one point in time actually rose to a 6-week high level, and reason for that being a strong Q4 operational update that the company actually reported at one point in time. Actually, rather than that, right now, if you can look at the stock price, it is actually at the day's highest point. The company actually posted 13% growth in consolidated crude steel production that stood at around 6.58 million tons during the fourth quarter. The production, they said, was driven, production growth was driven by improved capacity utilization at their Indian operations. So on back of this positive development, positive operational performance coming out for JSW Steel, as you can see the stock that is soaring in trade, 3.5% uptick coming in for this major.
Okay. That is on the back of news flows, Q4 updates. But Osho, you too have picked out JSW Steel. How is it looking like on the charts then?
Well, JSW Steel, as you have mentioned, is already at the day high, approximately 3.5%, and this has been backed by robust volumes. So one can expect this upside or the momentum to continue for the immediate target of 740 levels on the technical chart. So once it tests 740 levels on the daily charts, then from there onwards we can see or we can review the counter again, that whether it has more upside potential, or from there one should book their profits, those who have bought around the levels of 700 or even at the current market price also.
All right, that is JSW Steel for you, and the technical view coming on that particular front. By moving on, Lisa, Trident, why is this one soaring in trade?
Yes, Trident is up 6% today, and the reason for it being that it has updated their production numbers. Well, talking on their major segment, which is the home textile segment, the bath linen on month-on-month basis, that was up 7%, and bed linen also was 13% on month-on-month basis. Well, these two divisions, that is bath and bed linen, they account for 60% of the company's revenue. And the yarn segment, which accounts around 17% of the revenue, that was also up 15%. Talking about their paper and chemical division, the paper segment was flat on month-on-month basis. However, the chemical segment, that saw a strong growth of around 12%. So yes, the exports was reeling under pressure, but what's happening is that the global commentary from the home textile exports, they said that the inventory with the global retailers, that has been reducing as the global retailers have been restocking on their piles, and also they have started placing fresh orders for the same. So well, the month-on-month pickup in production numbers, that is showing an improving trend in exports, and that's the reason Trident is in focus today.
Okay, keeping an eye on Trident up 6%. But let's move on and talk about an auto name and Bajaj Auto. Vamakshi, why is this one in focus then?
This is in focus. Now, yesterday we did see that the company came out with an announcement. They said that they will be managing the existing dealerships of Triumph in India. They will be managing the India sales as well as the marketing operations. And important to note, Trident has 15 dealerships in India, and Bajaj Auto plans to expand this to around 120 over the next 2 years. Now, what it means for Bajaj Auto, that is something that we should understand. Now, Triumph dealerships will be the 5th exclusive retail channel under Bajaj. Now, Bajaj already operates 4 exclusive dealership networks, and new mid-sized Triumph motorcycles are set for 2023 launch. Now, the bikes are to be built at Bajaj Auto's Chakan plant, and the bikes are also expected to be exported. We also have Morgan Stanley's view coming on the same, and they believe that Bajaj will initially focus on creating a pull brand rather than volume push. In a bull case, they expect Triumph to add nearly 397 rupees per share, which is a 10% upside to Bajaj Auto. And in fact, they are expecting Triumph to reach 30% market share by FY26, 39,000 monthly run rate, and a margin of 25%. So that is Bajaj Auto for you, and focus on the back of that news flow, up nearly 2.5%.
Okay, let's move on and talk about Sagar Cements. This one is in focus today because there was actually a block deal that happened in Sagar Cements this morning, and the stock actually climbed as much as 13% during intraday, which was the most that we. There was a change of hands of equity of around 6 million shares of change in hands on the BSE, and as of now the stock is the best performer on S&P BSE small cap index. Trading volumes are more than 90 times the 3-month full day average. Also, buyers and sellers are not known, but we'll be keeping an eye out on that. 60 lakh shares change of hands, around more than 4% change in terms of equity.
All right, moving on. Now, Osho, Aster DM, how is this one looking on the charts to you?
Overall, the trend for Aster DM is very positive because it has been in a very secular uptrend from past 2 months approximately. So even yesterday's volume were quite robust. So we are expecting that the upside in this counter should be considered around 265 to 268 in the very short run period. So the counter has the potential to retest 265, 268, and on the downside, it is having a very strong support of 239. So one can definitely accumulate this counter for a short-term trading purpose.
Okay, let's move on, Vamakshi, and talk about SBI. Why is this one in focus?
Well, Vinny, this counter is in focus as the meeting is scheduled to be held on 18th of April, and in this meeting, the board will be considering and deciding on long-term fundraising in single or multiple tranches, and they are expecting to raise around $2 billion, and this will be through a public offer and or private placement of senior unsecured notes in US dollar or any other convertible foreign currency. So that is the news flow surrounding SBI, and that is the reason why the stock is up over 1% in trade today.
All right, moving on. Osho, why or rather how does SBI look on the charts to you? No doubt all the PSU banks are abuzz in today's trading session, including SBI. But do you think it will be able to sustain the momentum?
Overall, the trend for SBI is still on the downside, but looking at the overall momentum which it has gained from past 5 days, it has given a consolidation breakout. That was basically based on the news that you have shared. So we are expecting that from here onwards, the momentum should continue, not to a very high target, but approximately 550 should be tested in a very short-term time frame. So one should definitely try to accumulate this counter for the immediate target of 550 in the near term.
Keep an eye out on those levels for SBI. And speaking about actually the recent global banking crisis, Vinod Karki, head of strategy at ICICI Securities, he says that there is a major shift in the deposits from weaker banks to larger banks. Let's go cross and listen in.
Global uncertainty of, something could happen beyond what's happened. So we had these some of the bank failures in the US. And then in Europe, what happened, the merger. So, you race back in time, you suddenly start thinking what happened in the past when bank failures has happened. So, suddenly it opens up a Pandora's box. Anything could happen kind of a thing, because we have seen the global financial crisis, what happened after that. But So the contexts are different this time around in the sense that we are at the peak of the leveraging cycle at that point in time. And these banks had piled upon toxic assets and that fell apart and everyone was impacted. But this time, if you look at it, what is happening is the larger banks are actually getting stronger. They are seeing a massive shift in deposits from those weaker banks to the larger banks. So the big banks, which actually matter for the markets, are actually getting stronger, basically. So, and we are not in a stage where we are in an overheated economy, as it was in the past. And banks are not holding toxic assets. So, so I think that it's a little different, but the fear is there of something might happen like it happened last time. And that's actually, it's so overwhelming that you could be forced to ignore the positive high frequency data that's coming month by month.
All right, moving on then, and let's talk about all the tractor makers like M&M, Escorts. They will be in focus because you had IMD that came out with its first outlook on the monsoon, and what they're saying that they're expecting the southwest monsoon season rainfall over the country to be about 96% of the long-term average, long period average. On back of that, they are saying we are likely to see normal monsoon. They've also said the La Nina conditions have changed to neutral. Also, they've said that El Nino conditions likely to develop during the monsoon season, which may impact the rainfall during the second half of the monsoon season. They've said that at present, neutral Indian Ocean dipole conditions are present over the Indian Oceans, and positive IOD is favorable for the monsoon rainfall all across India. So, on back of the fact that we will be seeing a normal monsoon, you need to watch out for the tractor makers, and not just the tractor makers, you need to look at agri fertilizer stocks as well.
Okay, surely keeping an eye out on all these stocks on the back of a normal monsoon that is expected. But out of this, Osho, you picked out one name, and that is Mahindra and Mahindra. What are the charts looking like for this one? What should we be expecting in terms of targets and levels? In the last 1 month, nothing exciting in terms of a move. But is that an indication of time to buy right now and a sharper up move going forward?
Yes, basically what we have seen that from the month of February, the stock has corrected almost 300 points on the daily chart, and currently it is hovering near the oversold region. But from past 2 days, we are witnessing some kind of buying traction at the oversold region, so which is a very positive development for this company as of now, stock price as of now. So from here onwards, we can expect the momentum to continue to a not very strong upside in this counter, but approximately we are expecting 1250 to 1260 can be tested in a very short-term time frame. And once it breaches those levels, then we can again review the counter for a higher target. But as of now, one can expect 1250 to 1260 in the very short-term time period.
All right, moving on, Lisa, let's talk about another PSU banking name, and that is Bank of Baroda, and this one definitely is outperforming today's trading session.
Yes, Bank of Baroda have announced their fourth quarter business update, and on the back of strong business update, it was quite robust. The stock saw an uptick of around 4.5% in early morning trade, and it also touched a high of around 173.9 per share. Well, talking about the total business, it crossed its 21 lakh crore rupees, and it rose around 16.8% in the March quarter. Also, the deposits also grew at a rapid pace of around 15%. And the second trigger for Bank of Baroda stock price moving is that the bank has revised its MCLR rate by 5 bips, and the brokerage Motilal Oswal also is quite bullish on the stock, and they have said that the robust business growth, for that the retail loans is expected to drive the loan growth going forward, and also the broking house expects the margin to be stable to positive, while the controlled credit cost that is expected to drive the overall profitability. Well, Motilal Oswal has a buy rating on the stock. So on the back of robust business update as well as MCLR hike, so the stock is in focus in today's session.
Okay, let's keep an eye out on Bank of Baroda. Let's move on and talk about Tata Investment Corp on the charts, Osho. How is this one looking like? Because last 6 months, yes, we saw correction coming in. But then again, in the last 1 week, seems like the stock has again picked up a bit of pace.
Yes, from past 1 week, we have seen some volume-based buying in this counter, and currently it is hovering just below the 200-day SMA. So any closer above 2000 level can boost this counter for a higher target of approximately 2200 to 2300 in the short run. So one should definitely keep this counter in their radar. A decisive closer above 2000 can boost this counter for approximately 250 to 300 points in a very short term time frame.
All right, moving on, Vamakshi, let's talk about MTAR Tech and why it's on focus.
Cheryl, this stock is in focus after the management met up with Nuvama. Now we have a few important takeaways that have come in from that meet, and here's what they've highlighted. Well, the clean energy business continues to be the fastest growing segment. New orders are expected in nuclear and they are likely to flow in the first quarter of the next financial year, that is FY24. The company is working on developing H2 electrolyzers value chain over the next year and a half as well. The management is also expecting to ramp up electrolyzer production by the end of FY24 and surpass fuel cells by FY26. They've reaffirmed their guidance of 45 to 50% in revenue growth for FY24, and that could be led by the fuel cells space as well as the nuclear segments. So largely a positive update that has come in from the management. They've maintained their guidance of 45 to 50% revenue growth, and that is the reason why the stock is up in trade, trading near the day's highest point, up 2%.
Okay. Let's pull up the charts for Polycab because Osho is going to tell us the technicals that we should be keeping an eye out on Polycab. How is it looking like, Osho?
Cab is in a secular uptrend. Recently, we have seen a strong breakout in this counter, and on the technical parameters, this has a reverse from the bottom on the oversold region for the RSI. So that means from here onwards, we can expect a very strong target of approximately the first resistance it is having is around 3100. Once it surpasses 3100, then this stock has potential to go towards 3400 levels in from short to medium term perspective. So this counter is looking is having very much potential and is looking very aggressive on the technical chart. So one should definitely try to accumulate this counter for a higher target of approximately 3400 in short to medium term time frame.
Okay, let's keep an eye out on the next stock, that is Jindal Stainless Steel, and this one is in focus as we'll be seeing listing of new securities of Jindal Stainless today that has happened of around 46 crore equity shares at obviously 2 rupees, which is issued pursuant to face value for the share as well. Now, obviously, this is mainly happening pursuant to the composite scheme of arrangement amongst Jindal Stainless Limited as well as Jindal Stainless SR Limited and Jindal Lifestyle Limited and JSL Media Limited as well. So post this issue of listing of new securities, on the back of this today we're seeing the stock is down 2% in trade as of now.
All right, that is Jindal Stainless for you. That is in focus in today's trading session. But let's talk about Torrent Power. And Torrent Power is a buzz, also given the fact that it has made the lowest bid for Indian power supply contract. On the back of that, you have Torrent Power that is surging in trade today. But Osho, on the charts, do you think that this sort of a momentum will be sustained by Torrent Power going ahead?
See, overall, the supply zone for Torrent Power is approximately at 550 to 560 zone. So from here onwards, it has attempted to cross 550 quite some time, approximately 3 times. But from there onwards, we have seen some kind of extra supply, and because of that, the stock has again cooled off or profit booking has been seen in this counter. So from here onwards, one can expect the momentum to continue, but one should only accumulate it over 560 levels. But in case if there will be any correction towards 520, then it can be acting as a very strong support and people can even try to accumulate at those levels also. But from here onwards, if you want to buy or if you want to have a fresh accumulation, better to wait for 560 levels, and from there onwards, you can see a very positive trajectory on the technical charts.
Okay, let's move on and talk about Indigo, Interglobe Aviation as we know it as. Vamakshi, why is this one buzzing in trade?
Well, Vani, this counter is in focus on the back of a brokerage note that came in from Morgan Stanley. While they're expecting to see a quarter-on-quarter decline as far as yields are concerned, they're also expecting the company to report an adjusted net profit of around 80 crores in the fourth quarter. Now, the valuations for this counter are looking attractive in Morgan Stanley's opinion, and in fact, in the fourth quarter, they're expecting Indigo to see a 45% year-on-year growth as far as capacity is concerned. So largely, given all those positive factors, Morgan Stanley has maintained its overweight call on Interglobe Aviation, given a target price of 2,925 per share, which is a significant upside from the current market price. But nevertheless, the stock has declined in trade today, down nearly 1% as we speak.
All right, moving on. Osho, Exide Industries. How is this one looking on the charts to you?
See, Excite today has given a sloping trend line breakout. So from the auto ancillaries are already in focus because of all the auto companies and auto components companies are performing very well. And as Excite has given a fresh breakout in today's session, so we might expect that there could be a gradual cool off in this counter, but the overall target that we can expect is of 192. So one can definitely try to accumulate this counter on some dip towards 180, 182 levels for the upside target of 192 in a very short term time frame.
All right, moving on, let's talk about the dairy stocks and why are these counters in focus is the fact that due to the heat waves, we are seeing a rare shortage of dairy products and that has driven the prices higher. This is ahead of the peak summer demand. So over the last few trading sessions, not today, but over the last few trading sessions, you've seen the stock price of Parag Mill as well as Heritage Food rising as much as 14% this month alone. And this is because the nation is anyways bracing itself for a heat wave that is likely to threaten the dairy production. Remember, the government last week has said that they're considering imports to boost the supply as well. You have food prices that have surged on hampered agriculture production, and we are luckily we have the IMD who said that we will be seeing a normal monsoon. But the fact that there is the agencies are reporting that there is a shortage in the milk supply, and that is one of the reasons why you have these dairy counters over the last few trading sessions seeing an uptick, but today they're trading flat.
Okay, let's move on and talk about Naveen Fluorine. Osho, how is this one looking like on the charts? What are the levels that you're keeping an eye out on?
Naveen Fluorine was in a consolidation zone for almost 1 month, which was approximately hovering at the levels of 200-day SMA. But in today's session, we have witnessed the consolidation breakout at the levels of 4300 was the breakout level, and from here onwards, we can expect the momentum to continue because it was backed by the robust volumes. So from here onwards, we can expect a gradual up move in this counter towards 4700, 4750 in the short term period. But overall, this structure is very positive. Any dip or any correction towards 4300 should be considered as healthy and should be looked at as an opportunity to accumulate this counter for a higher target of 4700 to 4750 for short duration time period.
All right, let's shift focus. Let's talk about Ugrow Capital, Vamakshi, and this particular development that's taken place in Ugrow is an ET Now Newsbreak confirmed.
Absolutely, Cheryl. ET Now's Newsbreak confirmed for Ugrow Capital. The company has announced its equity capital raise of around 340 crores from marquee international investors. Now, keep in mind that this is the second capital raise since its inception. Now, they're raising around 240 crores through private placement and around 101 crores through QIP. They've approved a preferential allotment of 240 crores to IFU, and this is through its Danish Sustainable Development Goals Investment Fund. Now, where will this fund be actually used? Well, the company says that the growth capital from the funds raised will primarily be used for onward lending. The capital raise is also expected to enhance strong capital position as well as strengthen the balance sheet. So that is the reason why Ugrow Capital is in focus, but as of now, the stock is trading flat.
All right, let's shift focus, and you also have Ward Wizard that is in focus in today's trading session because it had come out with one of their data where they said the company has sold 3,744 units of electric two-wheelers in the month of March. This is a reduction if you see on a month-on-month basis coming in for Ward Wizard, but the stock right now is pretty choppy in trade today. Apart from that, let's take a look at what Keystone Realtors is also doing in trade today, because Keystone Realtors has come out with their operational performance where they said that their pre-sales were at around 473 crore rupees in Q4 and the collections were at around 702 crore rupees in Q4. So Keystone Realtors also is the other counter that is in focus in today's trading session. As you can see, the stock is trading higher by about 2.8%.
Okay, that was stock number 40 and 41 for you all. On that note, we're absolutely out of time on this edition of Market Fatafat. Thank you so much, Osho, Lisa, Vamakshi, as well as Kunal for joining in with us. And thank you so much, viewers, for tuning into Market Fatafat. It's a goodbye from Cheryl, myself, as well as the team who put this show together.